2 years ago, the Supreme Court handed down a historic decision in the case of Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. The decision overturned a 50-year precedent that sent the power over abortion law to the states. In Kentucky, we enacted a trigger law that almost immediately banned abortions outright, except when the life of the mother is at risk. Since then, the debate in Kentucky has revolved around where the state should draw the line at exceptions. Should rape, incest, or fetal abnormalities be other qualifiers under Kentucky law? This week, pro-choice advocates launched a campaign arguing our state's abortion laws are hurting our ability to recruit medical professionals. But pro-life supporters say that's not a fair argument.
I have been forced to sit by and wait until someone becomes sick enough to intervene with basic necessary care because of these laws.
Well, let's not label just because you can't terminate the lives of preborn Kentuckians that people don't want to practice medicine here. I think that's an unfair label. There may be physicians who will claim that.
So, Senator Tichenor, I'm going to start with you on this conversation. At least take it from the point that they're making there. Do you think that our state's abortion access laws affect our ability to recruit medical professionals?
I wouldn't think so at all. I think there's other contributing factors to why we're seeing a shortage in healthcare, and that's probably a topic for another show. Kentucky has always been a pro-life state. Once the trigger law came into effect, obviously, that just solidified where we stand on the position. Nothing in that law that is currently standing would harm a medical professional in any way, shape, or form. It's a very clear-cut law that there's no criminality in performing an abortion in case a mother's life is in risk. So I don't know why a medical professional would fear the position that we hold in the state of Kentucky, but I'm proud to be a part of the Pro-Life Caucus and all of the years of work that have been prayed for, advocated for, so that we can protect the unborn. And when that ruling came down, we saw 50 years of people who have fought hard to protect the most innocent, and I'm honored to be a part of a legislature that upholds that value.
Does that line move at all while you're in the legislature in terms of exceptions? Do we draw the line where it is now, or should it move?
I don't think that it should move, quite honestly. I know this is a really contentious subject and a hot topic, and I'm not afraid to discuss those issues. When you're looking at rape and incest, those make up 0.5% of abortions. So it's a very, very minimal amount. And I think the conversation needs to shift in a little bit of a different way. We have laws on the books that were changed in the 70s that lessened the crimes against women and children for sexual offenses. And we've allowed now this conversation of rape and incest, as opposed to focusing on the perpetrator, we focus again on the victim. And we're going to victimize her again and have to put her through another traumatic event of ending the life of her child. Now, this again is a complicated issue, and it's one that's going to take a lot of thought. I think about it all the time. I pray obviously for victims that are victims of rape and incest, but we've seen life come out of that. Beautiful lives have come out of horrible circumstances in the past, and I've met rape victims or people who have been born conceived out of rape who have led amazing lives, and I don't think we should take away that opportunity for them.
We're about halfway through the segment. I want to bring in Senator Thomas on this. The Democrats wanted to see an exceptions bill this year that didn't make it to the floor. Why do you think policy should be different on this?
The policy should be different, Bodie, because when we talk about victimization, I hear Senator Tichenor talking, the real victim here are women themselves. The current law after the Dobbs decision now treats women as second-class citizens. Just call it what it is, because women now have no control over their health care. They can't make decisions about how they want to treat any kind of pregnancy or any kind of concerns about their health if they are pregnant. It just puts women in a very precarious and really helpless place. And let's be honest, women want to have the right to choose in this nation, particularly when we look at what's happened in the last several years. And Kentucky, along with Kansas and Ohio, are the best examples where states have sought to impose a constitutional amendment that would ban abortion constitutionally. Let me finish my point, Bodie. In all three states, that was resoundingly defeated. Here in Kentucky, we said We think a woman ought to have the right to choose.
All right, we're out of time there, but if there's anything else you'd like to add as we wrap up?
Well, I would say abortion isn't health care. It ends the life of another person. So that's an argument we hear a lot. Reproductive health care, in my opinion, is an oxymoron because you're not reproducing, you're stopping that process. And I think we need to readdress this. We need to realize this is a life. We know it is. The science shows it. It's just a matter of, do we want to allow women to take the life of their child or not?
All right, we'll have to leave it there.